There are two kinds of leaders: the ones that you follow because you have to, and then there's the ones that you follow because you choose to. Every single one of you has known one of these types of leaders, whether it's in the military or it's in the corporate environment, it doesn't really matter. Some leaders rule from the top, barking orders, I'm the boss, and they have to tell you that they're the boss all the time. They keep their distance. They're kind of jerks typically, and maybe they're not. Maybe I'm just making things up as far as that, but nonetheless, because of their seniority, their position, their rank, whatever it is, they feel like people have to listen to them and follow them because of that position. But then there's the other type of leader, the type of leader that I think that we all should strive to be, the type of leader that I personally strive to be. And it's the ones who inspire. It's the ones who lead from the front. They build a culture of respect. These are the type of leaders I'm looking at back in my life, especially in the military and special operations, that I still today would follow, and I still call on their advice, even though I'm very successful, because I valued them because of what they poured into my life at the time. They build a culture of respect. They create a team that's literally willing to go to war for them and to fight and die for them. And it's not because they're afraid of them, it's because they believe in them. So at the end of the day, what kind of leader do you want to be? When I was in special operations, I legitimately had a team commander that pulled me aside, and in my last deployment, I was a team operations chief. He pulled me aside and said, "You need to stop being nice to the guys. You need to stop being buddy-buddy." And he literally said, "You need to stop being the fun uncle. Stop being Uncle Nick. You need to lead them. You need to be more of an authoritative leader." And I'm like, we're on a special operations team with 14 guys. It's not as if we have 300 Marines and I'm this leader from the front. It's not the way that it was. I mean, there's 14 of us. We all hang out with each other majoritarily and hang out with our families together. Like, we're a close-knit team. I just didn't see how that was gonna build rapport. Of course, this gets leaked, right? This gets leaked. Of course, like anything with, nicknames, what was a negative ended up, this is our team hat, 8222. And then, of course, publicly, that became over here. Right, there you go. See that good? Publicly, that became my nickname. And so much to the point to where, 13 years later, I still get sometimes called Uncle Nick. And it really was, from my point of view, it was such a close team that I realized that I wanted to be more than a leader. I wanted us to be a close-knit unit, even though I did have some authority. I did have a position of authority, but what use is that if they are not willing to follow you and they don't value your experience, they don't value your leadership? And for me, that's what it was about. It was about taking care of the men, making sure they had what they needed, make sure that the communication was being had, that they felt heard, that it was a collaborative team environment. Yeah, was there a mission to get done? Absolutely. And we got that mission done. But for us, it wasn't about this authoritative way of leading. It was a collaborative environment that I wanted everybody. And the reality is, I wanted everybody to be successful, but at the end of the day, they had their own experiences. And sometimes the youngest guy on the team had the best idea. If you didn't have that ability to let them sort it out or let them bring that up, then you're squandering that. And sometimes your team, and just like in the corporate environment now at Johnny Slicks, some of the best ideas with innovation, with manufacturing, some of the best ideas with marketing has come from the youngest guys on the team. But if I sit up here with my hands on my hips trying to lead, I'm not always going to get what's best out of it. Not only that, but then you're creating this environment of untrustworthy. They're doing it just because they want a paycheck or just because it's their job, and they're not willing to actually get the buy-in to go to war with you. And, just like we went to war here, like, we're in war in business. There's constant things that are happening. And I try to, as much as possible, live that Uncle Nick conception to this day. So again, going back to what I was saying is there's two types of leaders, right? You have this authority first leader that I was talking about. They focus on the rank and title and control. They keep the emotional distance. They demand respect instead of earning respect. And the team follows out of obligation, not loyalty. So when anything shit hits the fan, what are they going to do? This is the leader who leads from a position, not from a purpose. People follow them because they have to. There's no deeper connection. There's no real trust. And when you look at team, if I look at team and I break that down, what is team? The first thing, the letter of team is T, trust. Hardest thing to build is trust. Easiest thing to lose. Takes years to build, can be lost in a second. That is a big purpose. That is a big point of leading. Then you have the inspirational leader, the one that leads from the front. this is the type of leader that I want to be. I want to earn respect and lead by example, just like I do in my family, just like I did in the Marine Corps, and just like I do in my business. I want to be above reproach, and I want to be able to say something to my team, to my employees. They know for sure that Nick's doing as well. Like, well, Nick gets up early and he does this, and he stays dialed in, and he stays on top of his fitness, and he has good time management, etc. This is super important. So again, lead by example. I want to build strong relationships and trust. Like we said, hard thing to build. But when you have that trust, when you have to do something hard because they have that trust, because you built a strong relationship and they have buy-in, they're not following you just because, then they're willing to go get in the trenches with you. And this is a leader, this is the type of leader who gets into the trenches, who gets to know their team, who builds trust and respect through action, not just words, the same way that I would expect you to do it in your family. Why connection makes you stronger as a leader. There's a great TED Talk, it's not even shot really well, with Simon Sinek talking about the why. And that's really what it comes down to, is it comes down to the why. So what the why is it touches the human being basically to their core and makes that connection of what's really important. So some people think that being a strong leader means to be like real distant and cold and untouchable. But let me ask you this, who would you fight harder for? The guy who treats you like a number, or the guy who's been in the trenches with you, pushing you to be better, standing by your side when things get tough, when the shit hits the fan, even in your personal life? And we have a lot of people in our business who, like, sometimes their personal life shit goes sideways. And what kind of boss are you gonna be? I wanna be the one that's like, hey, I get that sucks, so I'm gonna take care of them. Well, how much more buy-in do you think that when things get tough in the business or we need them to step up, they're like, they roll up their sleeves and like, hey, we're just gonna get the fucking job done. So again, connection doesn't mean weak leadership. It actually strengthens it. And when your team respects you, they want to give you their best. And it's like the whole thing, I remember like the whole dad, and this is maybe like a little bit of an Uncle Nick moment. I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed because I think you can do better. That's the worst, right? It's way worse than like you screwed up. That's like, no, I'm not really mad, man. I'm just disappointed that you didn't give it to your all. So that's one thing. And a leader's job isn't to command, it's to inspire. And when you can inspire people follow great leaders because they feel a sense of purpose, they feel a sense of connection, and then because of that, it builds loyalty. And they don't just hear your words, they see your actions, and that's what really earns the ultimate respect. How to become a leader that people choose to follow? Well, right out the gate, you lead from the front, not from the top. You invest in your team and you know their strengths, you know their weaknesses and goals, and you put them in a position to succeed. In the military, they had this thing where, like, if you were weak at a subject, the Marine Corps would put you in that subject or get you to do that job so that you got better. Well, I run it a little bit different. I'm like, what are you super good at? What's your zone of genius, your unique ability? Well, you're just gonna do that. You're gonna give me a fucking 100 on this right thing. I'm not gonna put you in a thing that you suck at. Plenty of people that are probably really good at that. So I like to invest in my team. I spend money on them. We do a lot of workshops, we do a lot of coaching, and I fund that because the better they get, the better they're able to serve. And again, I'm also keeping them away from their weaknesses and pushing them towards their strengths. I push my team really hard. Brandon, we drive a hard train here, but we also lift them up and we also get them to see the value of what they're doing. But we're not gonna do the easy road here. We're not gonna take it easy. And then we want to be someone that is trustworthy, not someone they fear. We want to be someone that they trust, that they know that they can talk to us, they can come to us, they can articulate things, not that one that we're just like dropping a hammer and a whip all the time. Again, set the standard. One of the biggest things with setting the standard is we set the standard, and I also want to talk about like what looks like done. What does done look like? So there's a standard of what done looks like, but then I don't want to micromanage them and tell them how to get it done, because they might have a better way. So again, set the standard. Don't just talk about it, like live it, but explain to them what the standard looks like at the end result. So in business, I've seen both types of leaders. In the military, I've seen both types of leaders. I've worked with guys who have led through fear, they've led through control, and I've worked with guys who led through trust and inspiration. And guess what? The ones who build true loyalty and a strong team culture are the ones who win every single time. And those are the guys that to this day, I still call. And I'm like, what's up? What's up, Phil Turtle? How's life? What do you think? Because to this day, whether whether I talk to them or not, I value their input. I value their experience. And it's because over a period of years, in the worst of it, they built trust with me. And because of that, they built my loyalty to them. Here we go. Leadership challenge for yourself. I'll ask you again, what type of leader do you want to be? The kind of people that follow you because they have to, or because they want to, they choose to, because of how you inspire them, how you lead them, how you impact them to grow. If you really want to lead with real impact, you got to start by leading yourself. We say this all the time in the Agoge. This is the reason why phase 1 is phase 1. You have to master yourself. If you are not setting a standard, if you're not leading from the front, and you go into your family and you're like, this is what we're gonna do, they're gonna think you're a joke. Like, we're gonna do this with our diet, and we're gonna start doing this. They're gonna think you're a joke because you've not built any sort of example for them. But if you're leading from the front and you're set the example, then that's very easily for them to go, oh, this is what dad does. This is what the boss does. This is how you do it. So anyways, you have to start by leading yourself. Then you set the standard. You're super crystal clear on what that standard is. You understand what done looks like. You build trust, and you create a culture that inspires. Stop chasing titles and start earning respect. When you do that, everything changes. You can always tell from the guy who is the leader, and he never says, I'm the leader or I'm the boss. But the ones that are always like, I'm the boss, are not typically the boss, and they don't have that respect. So at the end of the day, real leaders are not defined by rank and title. They're defined by the people they inspire. They're defined by the legacy that they leave behind. So guys, at the end of the day, listen, step up and lead from the front, focus on connection, not just control, and ask yourself all the time, am I being the type of leader that I would want to follow as well? In the comments, I'd like you guys to, what type of leader do you want to be? Let's talk about it. And if you get value from this, remember to like this video, subscribe, hit the little notification bell so YouTube notifies you when these videos go live. Share this with somebody who needs to hear it. Share it and then be bold enough to share it with that authoritative leader, if you will. Like, have that kind of balls in your pants. Let's build a generation of strong, impactful leaders together. Remember, we are built by discipline and we are driven by purpose. Peace. Hey guys, thanks for watching. I really appreciate that. Remember to like it. Remember to drop me a comment. I want to respond to it. I'm actually the one responding to the comments. And if you like this video, you're going to absolutely love this one right here.